The Bible tells us that the heart of man is desperately wicked. Who shall know it? The heart of man, that means all humans, whether you are a man or woman, the heart of man is desperately wicked. Who shall know it? And I've done a video recently talking about how people are celebrating murders, all of that. And we can take out the main character, we can take out the whatever reasoning they may have for it. But what you need to focus on is this person, how someone is able to focus or to be happy about somebody being killed, or they can celebrate just tragedy. They're unmoved by it. There's something far greater in play than just what occurred very recently, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Take Charlie Kirk out of the equation and let's look at who's standing before us. Let's look at the individuals, how they're behaving. And you may be able to tie that behavior to either someone you know personally or people that you have heard of speaking this way, or just how society is today. The society that before they help somebody, they'll film it. Someone could be getting beat up and nobody moves to assist. And I understand that some people may say, hey, I don't want to get involved in that because the next thing you know, I get involved and then she gets mad at me or he gets upset with me for getting involved. And sometimes that happens. So there are times you have to weigh those options, because if a man and a woman is having an issue, you'll find you jump in there and you're helping, but you'll turn around and cover up for him or say this didn't happen. Some of you have families that's like that. You may have someone that's being abused by someone, whether it's the woman abusing your son or someone in a friend or a man doing it, and you get involved and all of this happen, and they seek refuge at your place, or you call the cops, and then the next thing you know, they're standing there saying, no, that didn't happen, and you're standing alone. So these things can occur. But I believe that most of the times when you're out and someone is being hurt and being attacked, there is just an indifferent. We call it the bystander effect. People are not brave. People think, well, what if this happened to me? What if that happens to me? Okay? And when you're brave and when you have courage, you don't think about things like that. You really don't. Are there times you need to use wisdom when you've helped somebody before, or you look and there are just some things you may have to consider? Yes, but those should be the exception and not the rule. But we live in that time. We live in a time there's so much available on technology, tortures, murders. I remember the last time I had gone to an appointment and I was sitting there and there's this guy in uniform next to me, and he was leaning forward, and I'm not looking at his phone, but you know how you turn and then your eye may catch the light of the phone, and I'm looking at him watching a person that was beating a dog. So it was this man, he was just hitting the dog, and you saw the dog just flailing its legs, and obviously he would have been listening to it. And I was just shocked that I'm sitting next to a person watching an animal being beaten. I couldn't even look for a long time. It was just a shock to me. And I think he might have got a little self-conscious about it, because then he sort of shifted. But that's the time that you're in, that people are very wicked. People are evil. People are desensitized. They lack compassion. And it lines up with what the Word of God says. That's why we have to be careful who you date, who you say I do to, even the churches you enter, who you bring into your home. Someone's supposed to be your friend, who you allow to stay in your home. This is where discernment comes in. There are people that say, why can't I stay in your house? God says to open your house. God says you're supposed to open your home to the homeless and all of that, listen, I would love to, and I have compassion, but you know what? You have to think. You have to think, and you have to use discernment, because sometimes you can open your door to someone and you got yourself a squatter. Okay, because what you have to do in the meantime is use wisdom. We live in very wicked times, and that's why people are behaving the way that they're behaving. It is an unmasking. Sorry about that interruption. Um, with all our kindness, we have to definitely use discernment. There's a lot of things I would love to do. There's a lot of things I enjoy doing. But I realize the times that we live in are very dark, are very, very dark. Okay? So you have to use discernment. But discernment, and what we're seeing with people is the unmasking, as I said. But with that, you take Charlie Kirk out of the equation, you take whoever else, then whatever situation they're rejoicing about, you have to look at that person and adjust accordingly. What you have in front of you is someone who's very wicked, and someone that you have to sleep with one eye open around these individuals, because this is a just a snapshot of who they are. People like this are normally very wicked and very dark in other ways. These are the people that will spit in your water. These are the people that will call your job and make up something about you. These are people, if they're offended by anything that you do, they will do something very spiteful. They're vicious. Their reasoning is very different. That's why when you see, even with a situation, you hear they have no reasoning. They just get stuck on something and they feel justified. They feel justified by someone that's not even in their realm or in their circle. So imagine what they'll do to you. Someone that they live with, someone that they work with, someone they're in a relationship with, someone that they know, someone they're related to. You may think that they'll be different with you, but they're not. These are individuals that if you say or do something that they don't like, if you have a certain position or certain morals and values that you stick to, they will be angry. They hold grudges, they hold a grievance, and it runs very, very deep. And when it runs deep, they feed on that. They allow it to grow. And in the meantime, they will be doing little spiteful things. They will be tripping you up in a sneaky sort of way. Sometimes they'll do it directly, covertly. Some overtly. There are times that they'll just snap and do these mean things and try to retract it. I say these are people that want to blow out your birthday candles. This is literally, but mostly figuratively. So you have these people walking around. When you see it, be happy, even though it's frightening. Be happy because now you know who you're dealing with. It could even be someone in your house. That is a wicked person. Make no mistakes about it. And what you're going to find is you may be shocked that the person felt this way, but if you really think about it, and if you really start to go back and think about how long you've known them or certain things, you will realize that they've been doing little things. You'll be able to remember certain things that they did that you may have talked yourself out of. You were like, oh, maybe they didn't mean that. Maybe they didn't. Maybe when they said that, this is what they meant. Or you realize this has been someone that's been kind of wicked. They've been doing little shady things for the most times that I've known them. Mean-spirited, say little things, deny stuff, lie, gaslight you. Gaslighting is making you question the reality of something that they did. Being mean-spirited, and if you say something to them, they crumble like plastic on heat and turn people against you. It's someone who's wicked, it's someone who's dangerous, and someone that you have to watch out for. And you have to figure out how to navigate around this person. So what you do, you pray and you ask God. Some people, you should not marry them. If you sit and you're about to marry somebody and you hear them talking evil and wicked, remove yourself from them. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. A lot of times a person like this, they harbor a lot of evil. And sometimes they'll look normal. They'll even look so innocent and sweet and all cuddly wuddly, but they're evil. Okay? So what happens is people who do evil, there's a time of judgment that's going to come. There's a time of reckoning that's going to come to these individuals. And if you find yourself in their space when that judgment is coming, you will be destroyed. Sometimes because you're connected to that person, a lot of things you're doing is failing because you can't thrive if the ground is not good. As Jesus talked about good ground where you drop seeds, you're going like, why am I here and everything I'm doing is drying up? Because you're in a place where it's not good ground. It's a bad space, you know? Because of the principalities and powers that's tied to someone who's very wicked. They entertain darkness. They've been doing things from however long before you met them. Okay? They're malignant spiritually. So therefore, when you're trying to grow with them, you won't. You won't. Okay? Because the cankerworm and the palmer worm is buddies with them. And you know how they talk about the cankerworm, the palmer worm that eats all the blessings and the things that your bounty. All right. And so because they're that way, because they're being eaten up in the soul, in the spirit, they're malignant in spirit. That's the locust and all that stuff is a part of them because of their behaviors. And that's why when they open their mouth, they speak destruction and they can't see it. They can't see it because they live in a prison. Their mind is gone because they've been wicked for a long time. So their conscience is gone. So when you're trying to be around them and trying to understand them, you're going to be destroyed. Some people you should not marry. I'm not telling you, but you know. You see the character of this person and you keep trying to convince yourself. Everyone's convinced you, oh, this is a good person. They go to church. They look so good. Be careful. Some people you should not do business with them. Some people you should not be trying to move in with them. Some relationships you should not be in. Some ministries and places you shouldn't be there. I personally believe any church that is there talking about politics and talking crazy to their talking to their congregants and insulting them and saying things and trying to make them feel a certain way, that is not godly. Of course, you should understand what's going on in your government, in your world. You need to know that. But you don't sit there and use your position as a leader to try to strong arm anybody into any sort of decision. And believers should not be cutting people off because of their votes or who they voted for or their beliefs. That is not godly. And you can try to put a spiritual spin on it all you want. Oh, the Lord. And isn't it always convenient when you get in your feelings that God is there with you talking about, yeah, I got a word. You lying, man. That's you. That's all you. Stop. Just knock it off. We have to remember, we have to just be mindful of what's going on around us. When you see people doing that, and I know it's hard because you're seeing people who are in esteemed positions behaving a certain way. So you may get confused because of who they are, but don't be confused. The condition of their spirit is showing. Their fruit, as the Bible says, by their fruit you shall know them. And we have a lot to think about. A lot of times you just listen to people. Some people you don't need to share how you feel about certain things. You listen to them. And when you listen, you learn a lot. And when God reveals the ugliness about someone, Don't try to talk yourself out of what you saw because you don't want to be uncomfortable. You already reserved the wedding hall. Oh, I don't know when I'll ever get another business opportunity like this. Trust in the Lord in all your heart and lean not onto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. That is from Proverbs chapter 3, 5, and 6. Thank you for listening and God bless.